Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. You know, while 2018 was pretty much a mixed bag for me, due to my parents being weird, YouTube being an asshole by putting 3 false copyright claims on my blogs, and a ton of subscribers ditching me, not to mention that several commenters said some intolerable things about me, like these. Seriously, no one has the right to say something so mean to me. But on the other hand, I still enjoyed performing with my musical Theater Village friends. And I got to go to Nashville and Disneyland with some friends. And, of course, I got to participate in the Balboa Harbor Christmas Parade. And I also got a new cousin-in-law. Plus, I got to work at Target for a full year. And I'm still working there to this day. However, 2018 wasn't really a good year for the guy who influenced my blog show, Huey Toonmore. I mean, with the exception of his review of Simba the King Lion with Isaac the Media Hunter, he hasn't made a single review ever since his Coco review. Though, I don't want to go into too much detail on why he's been absent. So, today, I decided to look into something really bad that Huey has already reviewed, courtesy of his evil computer-generated arch nemesis, whom I pray still doesn't know I exist, and it happened not long after I began my blog show. And trust me, when I say that this movie feels like nothing but a hollow shell of its former self. But before we get started, let's talk about a classic book series known as Dinotopia. Created by author and illustrator James Gurney, this book series centers on an island of the same name with a population of shipwrecked people and intelligent dinosaurs that have lived together in their own peaceful society. To me, that sounds like a tamer and ancient version of Jurassic Park. Anyway, the first book was published in 1992 and has appeared in 18 languages in more than 30 countries and sold 2 million copies. Dinotopia, A Land Apart from Time, and its sequel, Dinotopia, The World Beneath, won Hugo Awards for Best Original Artwork, and what's more interesting, Gurney included dinosaurs that were recently discovered at the time into the books, like Giganotosauruses and Microraptors. And since its original publication, over 20 Dinotopia books have been published by various authors in order to expand the series. Now, as a kid, I never really read the books up until a few years recently at my local library. And, in my opinion, these stories are absolutely outstanding and interesting. Unfortunately, my actual introduction to Dinotopia was way back in 2002, when my inconsiderate and stubborn father made me watch the terrible live-action miniseries, despite the fact that it received an Emmy Award for Outstanding Special Visual Effects for a miniseries, movie, or special. Now, the reason why me and several people didn't like it was because its plot was, well, a bit too modernized and cliched. And, of course, the characters were bland and boring, and, worst of all, some of the dinosaurs could actually talk. And After watching the miniseries, I nearly puked. But then, in 2005, I discovered this movie while browsing Netflix. And a few years recently, I actually rented it, and later, for the sake of this blog, bought the movie from Amazon. So, let's get this over with already. Released to DVD on May 17, 2005, the movie is Dinotopia, Quest for the Ruby Sunstone. So let's get started. 12-year-old orphan Kex Bradley stows away in a lifeboat, hoping to see the world. But after being washed overboard, he finds himself on Dinotopia, where he befriends the beloved young dinosaur 26 and a 12-year-old girl named Mara. Soon, the friends face trouble when the evil Ogthar is released from his stone prison and recovers the Ruby Sunstone, whose dark power can endanger all of Dinotopia. So, it's up to Kex, Mara, and 26 to stop Ogthar in time to save Dinotopia. So, how was this movie to me? Well, I have to admit it. It was bad enough when my dad made me watch the live-action miniseries, but this movie is a real screw-up. Can't say Huey didn't warn me. But let's move on to Mustang notes. The film was directed by Davis Doi, who is known for numerous American animated series and television films, as well as various Scooby-Doo and Care Bears video productions. He has been part of many Hanna-Barbera and Cartoon Network original productions. Doi has received 3 Emmy Award nominations, one in 1994 for The Town Santa Forgot, and 2 in 1998 for Cow and Chicken and Dexter's Laboratory, and he was nominated for a Cable Ace Award in 1996 for The Chicken from Outer Space, which was an animated short from Courage the Cowardly Dog. Doi later went on to work at SD Entertainment, where he directed movies and television, starting with My Little Pony Dancing in the Clouds, which, in my opinion, doesn't look as good as Friendship is Magic. And so far, the most recent film that Doi directed was the 14th Land Before Time movie. Anyway, after the Hallmark Entertainment live-action Dinotopia TV series adaptation ended, Hallmark made Dinotopia Quest for the Ruby Sunstone mostly as a marketing tool. It is noted for hardly following elements from the original book series, and even shows a great lack in character development. But what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, it's not too bad for a home video release. Same goes for the backgrounds, but it doesn't top Gurney's illustrations. And some characters look like they came from the Flintstones. As for the story, well, much like the Hallmark Entertainment live-action series, the setting in this movie is transferred from the 1860s to modern day. The reason for this change in time was so it could connect with the young audience, which is really stupid to the people who love the books. Plus, that's sometimes how I feel when someone makes a trashy modern telling of a classic cartoon or a stage musical. Also, a majority of the dinosaurs in this movie have the ability to speak like humans do, whereas in the books, the dinosaurs could only speak in sign language or a written language with an alphabet made of footprints. Now here's where we talk about the Sunstones. In this movie, Sunstones are portrayed as large as quartz stones. Also, if you don't know what a Sunstone is, Here's a photo of one. Also, aside from being able to use the sun to power up machinery and emit bright light like in the books, Sunstones in this movie are given additional abilities to trap radio waves, TV, and satellite signals, and create a barrier that hides Dinotopia from the rest of the world. Even though, in the books, the reason why Dinotopia was cut off from the world is because of a storm system and dangerous coral reefs that were nearly impassable. Also, while the dinosaur-shaped vehicles called strutters look like their book counterparts, there's 3 little flaws with them. 1, they have digital technology which does not mix with a steampunk machine. 2, one of them breaks down after losing its head, whereas in the books, a strutter can still work even after losing its head. And 3, in the books, they were never made to do evil things. They were meant to revolutionize labor. Also, the incompetent writers incorrectly believed that because a dinosaur is called an iguanodon, it could shed its skin like one, which it does not do in reality. And the final climax on top of the volcano, while still pretty intense, feels like a ripoff on the 3rd Lord of the Rings story. However, there are some good things that are still found in this movie. For example, there are Skyback's riders who patrol the island like in the books. And of course, Waterfall City stays true to its book counterpart. Lastly, during the end credits, there's a song called I'll Take You There, sung by Wendy Wagner, which, in my opinion, is a really sweet and relaxing song. And it gets your mind off the insanity that happens in this movie. Anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors. Let's start with Kex Bradley, voiced by Alec Medlock, who voiced Littlefoot in the 10th Land Before Time movie. This kid is an orphan from America who washed up on Dinotopia after his lifeboat gets loose from a cargo ship, and now he lives with his new friends on the island. To me, despite the fact that his name is not an actual given name in any language, Kex is an okay character, and his skateboarding moves are pretty hardcore. However, sometimes Kex can be a bit whiny and annoying. Our main character, 26, is voiced by Alyssa Milano, whom I know from Lady and the Tramp 2 Scam's Adventure and the Charmed TV series. 26 is a young Chasmosaurus who seems to be the only character from the live-action miniseries, though I think she's most likely added in this movie just for marketing purposes. Now, the reason why I say that 26 is the main character is because she has a lot of responsibility than the other characters, and she's basically a leader most of the time. Plus, her face is right here on the cover of the DVD case, and Kex is way in the background behind her. Still, I think 26 is the only character who I like in this movie. Next we have 26's best friend, Mara, voiced by Tara Strong. Now, as much as I like her for her roles in such stuff like Teen Titans, the Powerpuff Girls, The Little Mermaid 2, My Little Pony, and so on, her role in this movie is pretty much a mixed bag, due to Mara being a tad skeptical, traditional, and a tad bitchy around Kex at times, which seems pretty similar to Misty from Pokemon, in a way. Next we come to Mara's father, John, voiced by Diedrich Bader, who has been in Sony's Surf's Up and Disney's The Country Bears. John is the keeper of the hatchery, and he's 26's sorrow partner, which is a human and a dinosaur that have known each other for a long time. Now, I guess I can say that it's safe to assume that this movie has nothing to do with the miniseries, since it was Carl Scott who adopted 26 as an egg and not John. As for what I think of him, well, I think John is a kind man, and he's very welcoming towards Kex, despite the fact that he doesn't have that many scenes. Though, I do like the part where he saved 26 from falling into the volcano. Next we have Albagon, the elderly Dryosaurus, voiced by George Segal. This character doesn't really exist in the book series, but in my opinion, this character is a very wise dinosaur. This annoying little pest is Spaz, a baby Dilophosaur voiced by Jamie Kennedy, who has been in the first 3 Scream movies, and of course, Son of the Mask. To me, Spaz is the most annoying character in the entire movie, ever since he hatches out of his eggplant-shaped egg. I mean, think about it. Every time a single word comes out of his mouth, it makes me want to clench my ears, begging for him to shut up! And what's even worse is that the animators made him look like those Dilophosauruses from Jurassic Park. Seriously, these species never had frills on their necks. Seriously. Next we come to a T-Rex, whom for some reason is named Stinktooth, and he's voiced by the late Michael Clark Duncan, whom I remember from The Green Mile, as well as Racing Stripes, Kim Possible: A Stitch in Time, the Brother Bear movies, and George of the Jungle 2. And he got to be in the 11th Land Before Time movie. Now, in the books, Stinktooth was the name of a Giganotosaurus, who was basically king of all the carnivorous dinosaurs on the island, and became a friend and ally after Arthur saved his son Stantall from getting his foot caught in some fallen logs while playing with another one of his kind. Here, however, this goofy-looking thing starts out as an antagonist due to getting a splinter in his mouth after trying to eat Roga and Thud while they were crossing a bridge over a gorge. However, in my opinion, this T-Rex seems like a mix of Sharptooth from Land Before Time and Sebastian from Little Mermaid. However, I do like the part where he became an ally after 26 helped him get the splinter out of his mouth, and he guides our heroes to Ogthar's lair in return, and later tries to protect 26 by chopping and tossing Ogthar's scorpion strutter. Though, I wish that Stinktooth could have at least eaten Ogthar. These are Roga and Thud, voiced by Kathy Griffin and Wayne Knight. To me, these two idiots are pretty similar to Snips and Snails from My Little Pony, due to them being the token dumbass henchmen. But unlike Snips and Snails, Roga is really mean-spirited and rude, while Thud is a complete doofus. In other words, Roga basically forces Thud to do all the work, while she mostly sits around and chills, and Thud is mostly getting kicked around. Anyway, after coming across the ruby Sunstone and the lost world beneath while treasure hunting, they accidentally release Ogthar from a mechanical sarcophagus. Afterwards, they're assigned by the evil man to steal dinosaur eggs. Finally, we have our villain, Ogthar, voiced by Malcolm McDowell, who voiced Dr. Calico in Disney's Bolt, Mad Mod from Teen Titans, and played Dr. Samuel Loomis in Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. Okay. In the world beneath, Ogthar was a creature who was half man, half triceratops, who ruled over Poseidos and was responsible for inventing the Strutters. Here, however, he's a normal human who came across the island over 100 years ago, hated it because it was so primitive, and was given immortality by the Ruby Sunstone. And he planned to take over Dinotopia with his Strutters. But thankfully, he was stopped by his own shipmates and imprisoned in a mechanical sarcophagus. After being freed by Roga and Thud, his evil plan is to use the eggs that they stole from the hatchery in order to build an army of evil dinosaurs to pilot his Strutters and take over the island. In my opinion, while Malcolm McDowell does a great job voicing him, I feel that Ogthar is very threatening at the beginning, but he becomes completely flawed as the film progresses. Anyway, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Dinotopia, Quest for the Ruby Sunstone, is a huge insult to the Dinotopia book series and their creator James Gurney. True, the animation is good and the backgrounds aren't that bad, but everything else is absolute garbage. From the main characters, except for 26 being obnoxious and annoying, the side characters being forgettable, and the villain, Ogthar, is absolutely flawed. Not to mention the writing, which has, starts out very rushed and goes completely nowhere throughout the movie. However, it's not the absolute worst movie I've ever seen. Trust me, I've seen much worse. But I highly recommend you folks to check out the Dinotopia books and stay away from the live-action miniseries, and especially avoid this trashy animated movie. I give this film a rating of 33% out of 100. In fact, I think I know just how to destroy this DVD. I'm gonna blow this movie to Tartarus where it belongs. Get ready to blow! Oh boy, that felt great! Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again next time. Mustang Power. All I can take